Hi, hello everybody. I'm Justin. This is Koopa. Welcome to Koopa's Corner. Today we're going to talk about Main Event Jey Uso and his Royal Rumble victory. I talked about him a little bit in my Royal Rumble post show, my post show breakdown, and I was a little bit critical of Jey Uso. And, I've been a little bit critical of Jey Uso in the past. And, I just want to discuss him as a performer a little bit more thoroughly. And I want to preface this by saying I'm actually a fan of Jey Uso. I like Jey Uso. I think he's really fun. And you know what? You can't help but want for him to succeed. I like Jey Uso, and there's something that's relatable about the whole trying to step out from my twin brother's shadow, my cousin's shadow, trying to stand on my own 2 feet. You can sort of, you can relate to his plight, right? He is undeniably one of the most over superstars on the roster today. But is that enough? Right? There is a difference between being over and being good. And so I want to break down a little bit both the goods and the bads of Jey Uso and of sort of the situation that he's in right now. Because it almost feels like the WWE put him in a no-win situation. Right? He comes across... Well, okay, let's rewind just a little bit. I'm specifically talking about the choice he has to make between Cody Rhodes and Ring General Gunther, right? There's two ways he could go. He could go with Cody Rhodes, or he could go with Gunther. And I guess maybe he's not in as much of a lose-lose situation as the WWE, right? They've put themselves in a lose-lose situation. Here's the thing. They've been teasing Jey Uso versus Gunther, right? It feels like that's the direction they'll probably go. But it's not the first time they've faced each other. And quite frankly, none of the times before that really were burning the house down, right? They were fine matches. They weren't great matches. They were fine matches. Not WrestleMania main event worthy matches. Gunther, whether you like him or not, whether you feel his title reign is stale or not, when he comes out on Raw last night and he says, hey, you can't even lace my boots, he's not wrong. We've seen the matches, and Gunther outshone Jey significantly. I talked about it a little bit in my Saturday night's main event post-show breakdown before we knew Jey Uso was even in consideration to win the Royal Rumble. Right? Gunther is a great performer. Now the problem is, if you put Jey in that match, Jey comes across as looking kind of dumb. Right? He kind of has to pick Cody. Right? He spent years in the bloodline. He spent years with Roman Reigns. He was there through the whole story of Cody needing to finish his story. And he should have learned in that time that Roman's title, now Cody's title, is the title. Why would he go for what is the lesser of the two titles, at least from his perspective, in a storyline perspective, his character's perspective, right? He would only go with it because that's the way they script him to go, but it doesn't make sense for his character. It doesn't make sense to book that. He should want to hold the same title that Roman held. He should want to take it back from Cody. He should want to know that that is the title. It's the same title that just last year the Cody crybabies were throwing a fit about if Cody didn't choose it. Right? We didn't get The Rock versus Roman for that reason. So Cody has to defend the title against Jey Uso. That's the way it kind of has to go. Otherwise, Jey looks dumb for not choosing it. It looks like, all those years in the bloodline, he didn't learn a thing. It looks like all of that time dealing with Cody Rhodes, he didn't learn a thing. But they keep teasing Gunther. And we know that that's a match that is not the best. If he does choose Cody instead, he almost looks scared for not choosing Gunther after the way Gunther got in his face on Raw. Not only that, but you now have your main title, and not just in storyline. The WWE considers that their main title, or they wouldn't have had Cody beat Gunther at Crown Jewel. It's very clear which one of them is number one and which one is number two outside of a storyline. So you now take your main title and your main champion, and you have to lower them to a match with Jey Uso. Right? And I say lower him because it would be lowering him. And this brings us back to Jey Uso as a performer. Right? Jey Uso is fun, and he's over. And I am a fan of Jey Uso, like I said at the start of this video. But Jey Uso, every time he's had a big singles match, has shit the bed. His match with Roman was fine. His match with Gunther was fine. His match with Jimmy, his twin brother, the one person in the world that he should have the most chemistry with of anybody, actually kind of sucked. It was easily the worst match at WrestleMania last year. His matches with Seth Rollins were fine. We're talking about the best performers in the world. Seth Rollins is somebody who could have an entertaining match with a broomstick. And Jey could not keep up with him. Right? So this is my concern. Right? He's just not there in the ring. And he's got 3 months to get there. And this is a 15-year veteran. If he hasn't found it by now, I think Jey Uso is pretty much at the level that Jey Uso is going to perform at. He can't cut a promo worth a damn. He barely speaks coherent sentences. He doesn't, pronounce words correctly. He doesn't enunciate well. His promos are very cut up so that he can get a yeet in there, or the crowd can get a yeet in there, And he doesn't speak in a way that has any conviction. And it's tough. It's so tough because I want to cheer for him. And I want to be happy for him that he got this, And I'm happy for him in the same way that I would be happy for a friend that got a promotion, right? You're like, hey, buddy, that's awesome. Good for you. I'm happy for you. But if I was the boss, you wouldn't have gotten that promotion because as close as we are, I know how your work ethic is. And I'm not saying that Jey Uso has a bad work ethic. I'm saying my buddy at work has a bad work ethic. You know what I mean? Like, he's not supervisor material. He's a great coworker. But from a business standpoint, he's not somebody I would promote. And that's how I feel about Jey Uso. I'm happy for him. I am. He's put in a lot of hard work over the past 15 years. It's a nice reward. But as a fan who wants WrestleMania to be the best that it can be, I'm concerned. And again, what decision does he make? How does he come across looking there? And sort of who do you, who are you willing to sacrifice to him? Because you want to go with Cody to try and get a better match out of him. And from a storyline perspective, it just makes more sense. But what do you rob yourself of by not having Cody face John Cena or Logan Paul or Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre or Roman Reigns or The Rock? That's the problem, is I can list a half a dozen to a dozen superstars who would put on a better main event match. The returning AJ Styles could have won. Sami Zayn could have won. The feud that we're getting between Sami and Kevin would have been better for the top title. Still going to be a hell of a match, right? But elevating it to that next level would have been better. And Sami Zayn is somebody else who was kind of an underdog, kind of underestimated. Still would have been a surprise. You could have elicited those same reactions. It feels like you're trying to manufacture a Daniel Bryan situation here, or a Kofi Mania. And the thing is that Jey Uso just isn't that much of an underdog. Nobody was sitting here, wanting Jey Uso to get more, and he wasn't getting it because management didn't have faith in him. Their rises to the top, their groundswell of support, had everything to do with backstage politics. It had nothing to do with the storylines they were in. The fans saw them as a next level performer, and management did not. Management sees Jey Uso as a top guy. They've given him opportunities, and quite frankly, he's failed to live up to the bar. What is he, aside from a really fun, interactive entrance and a catchphrase that looks good on a t-shirt? Because I've also heard that as a defense for him a lot. That, well, he sells so much merchandise. My dude, what does that matter to you? You're not reaping the benefits. You're not WWE management. You're a fan. I don't care how many t-shirts he's sold if the match I'm going to get is subpar. If the story I'm going to be told is subpar. So these are my concerns with Jey Uso. And I don't mean to be overly negative here. I think there's a ton of upside. If you put him with the right opponent, hopefully they can elevate him a little bit and put on a decent match. I also think you have opportunities for him to maybe challenge for the NXT title. I don't think that they will. I don't think that's very likely at all. But you have ways to book yourself out of this at this point. Maybe you make it a triple threat match or some kind of multi-man match to hide his weaknesses, right? I could see a reality where somebody else gets involved in the story or somebody challenges him for his spot at WrestleMania down the road and wins it from him. But they've never said with the Elimination Chamber that they have to face the other champion. So if Jay chooses Cody, that doesn't mean, CM Punk or John Cena can't also choose Cody, as far as we know. Right? The expectation is how you get the other challenger, but they could come out on Raw the next night and say, I want in that match. That's the title that I want. And it could become a triple threat, which is suddenly much more interesting. Right? And Jey Uso adds a lot of electricity, and he's going to hype the crowd. The crowd's going to be hot for that main event. So there are some upsides to it. But just on Raw last night, it was 15 minutes of entrance before he had anything to say. And he's coming off of a huge Royal Rumble win that had a lot of people questioning whether it was the right move or not. And it was his first chance to speak and to talk about what it means to him and to sort of sell us on him as a WrestleMania main eventer. And he got emotional, and if that was the best he had, it was mid at best, guys. It wasn't a great promo. So I guess, this was a long, ranty way of just, there are some ups, there are some downs, but I'm not sold. I'm worried that this WrestleMania is already failing to live up to the hype of last year, of the year before, especially coming off of a year like 2024 where the WWE was pretty much hot at almost every event, that it was getting more and more popular, that it was getting more and more mainstream, that they kept breaking records of how much they sold. And, they really can't afford for Jey Uso to shit the bed this year. Not only that, but if Jey Uso does shit the bed at this year's WrestleMania, that's it. It's kind of put up or shut up. And it feels like he's not going to do it. And I'd rather see him get some success and maybe build to that. Get a little bit more time as a singles competitor and build to that. Maybe win an Intercontinental Championship and build to that. Right? And it's not to say that he doesn't deserve a prominent spot on the WrestleMania card, because he absolutely does. And there are some great stories that could be told with him. I just don't know if any of those stories involve Gunther or Cody. Right? As much as I hate to see it, or say it, I would love to see it. As much as I hate to say it, put him up against Jacob Fatu. Put him up against Solo Sikoa. Put him up against Roman. If we're not going to get Roman versus The Rock, revisit that. Have him blame Roman for something, or Roman blame him for something. You won that match. That was my match. And Roman comes after him. And you pivot away from the title. It still would be a huge, huge moment. So there are options to have a really good, prominent spot for him. And, I don't know, guys. These are just some of my thoughts that I've been having the past couple of days. I didn't really have much of a plan for this video. I just sort of wanted to rant a little bit. What do you think? Yay or nay? Was this the right decision? Was Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble the right decision? Or was this more of a surprise for the sake of a surprise? Either way, it is what it is. It's happened now. And as much as I have my doubts, I'm going to be sitting back here and I am going to be rooting for Jey Uso, because I don't want him to shit the bed. I don't want to have a bad WrestleMania main event. I don't want to be told a lackluster story. I want him to thrive. I want him to excel. I want this to be the best damn WrestleMania I've ever seen. So I'm going to be sitting back here rooting my ass off for Jey Uso to succeed. And I'm going to have my fingers crossed that he can. But I have my doubts. And that's because of really every opportunity that he's had as a single superstar since he broke away from the bloodline. If history has taught us anything, it's that this main event title match with Jey Uso is going to be mid. It's not going to be bad, but it's going to be mid. And that's unfortunate. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please, again, let me know in the comments what you think. Like the video if you think this is an interesting topic of conversation. If you'd like to have more discussions, and maybe subscribe, because I got a lot of things to say, and we'll be posting them pretty frequently, especially in the road to WrestleMania. So if you want to follow along, if you want to engage and have these conversations, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.